G'day guys, how you going? So, I've got my GoPro set up in the truck. I've had it for quite a while actually, but never really used it or had much reason. It's just been a lot easier on the phone. But I'm going to try something new here, so we'll see what's going on. I've got about 100k stretch here, and I thought I might just tell a story. We'll call it a Tones trucking story from a time in the past, which, you know, it might go for about 15 minutes. So, don't know how this is going to go, but let us know in the comments if you enjoy it. It's sort of got to be, I suppose, somewhat of a podcast, a visual podcast, but if you just want to listen to it while you're driving, then so be it. Righto, so Tones trucking story. We go back probably about 3 or 4 years, I suppose, and I had this particular tractor on that had to go out to a homestead, a farm out east of Tamworth. It was out in the hills. So yeah, I got told, yeah, it's a cash job, and got you know, got the people's phone number and that sort of stuff, but got told, you know, it's down a few tracks, and you know, it might be a little bit daunting for you, but yeah, so I got onto the people, and they sort of directed me the old farmer's way of doing it. You know, go 15k up here until you see a tree with a tyre out the front of it, turn right, then you need to go over 5 cattle grids and you'll see a tree, but don't turn that anyway. So we started heading out of Tamworth. It was winter around the time, so it got dark fairly early, and she was a bit wet around that time as well. So I got onto the farmers. Yep, no worries, I'll be in there probably about 8 o'clock. I said 8 o'clock at night. So yeah, they said that's fine, we'll be here, and you know, we got some shearers staying at a couple of the sheds down the back, and you can turn around and, you know, no dramas at all. So started putting out there, turn left, start going down this dirt road, and it wasn't the greatest of dirt roads at all. It was very corrugated, sort of had to wind through a few trees, but not that bad. But, you know, you had the high beams on, there's no one else out there. And from memory, roos, bloody kangaroos just everywhere. But, you know, I was only putting along at 40 anyway through the dirt in the dark. And then all of a sudden, yeah, I do come across this turn that I've got to take to head up to the homestead. And I'll point out too, like, there no phone reception whatsoever out there at all, so I was pretty well driving blind. And we start cruising down, me and the puppies here, didn't we? You remember this time? Yeah. And, you know, go over a couple of cattle grids, and it's one of those scenarios where the roads are starting to get narrower and narrower, and they almost turn into a bit of a goat track. You know, I'm starting to sort of question myself, how much further should I go here before, you know, I run into trouble? But I kept putting along and get to another little spot, and I'd get out of the truck, have the high beams on, and have a look and go, yeah, it's got to be it. So we'll just keep going here. And next thing you know, come up, it starts to get really rocky and hilly out there. So it already was a little bit hilly, but really starting to see some nice big cliff faces, and you're going, oh yeah, righto. Start winding round, and next thing, oh, look at this. There's just a cliff face, just almost straight vertical, with just a little goat track, almost something like you would see in India. Something like that, and off the other side, you couldn't even see down there. She was very, very dark indeed, and I actually got out at one point and had a bit of a look, and it was as straight down there as it was up there. So there was very little room for error actually, and I thought, I don't know if I should do this. So just before I contemplated, do I just go to bed and hope that someone sees me in the morning when I wake up? I was really, really going through my mind at that time. I had that anxiety feeling of, I don't really want to be here now, but you know, we sort of committed ourselves by that point. And so we're going around this cliff face, and I couldn't see bugger all, and I'm just looking in my mirror. Lucky my trailer has a lot of lights on it, but you know, there was a few little boulders and I was only missing the cliff face by that much, I reckon. Almost scraping the edge of the back of the trailer as we cruised on in. And yeah, so we sort of getting through that, and I'm going, I don't even know where this goes. So the road didn't look that used, but I was just hoping it did go somewhere. So eventually we got out the other side, and it didn't open up, but at least there wasn't bloody cliff face on the side of me anymore. And it was pretty bushy, and we're still sort of going around a few of the gums and making our way in. And yeah, next thing, look up ahead, is that a bloody light? Why is it just a very, very dull light up in the distance? I'm like, I'm aiming for that. I've got to get there. I really hope that's it. I'm sort of looking at my speedo going, yeah, that's been about 8 kilometres that they said that I'd have to go in. 8 kilometres, but you don't know what 8 kilometres when you just been there for 45 minutes, you know, just really, really crawling along and getting out and having a look at things. So get a bit closer. Oh yeah, there's some nice trees. Yeah, we've hit someone's driveway here. So we get in there, and the old couple, I can't remember their names, but geez, they must have been in their 80s and lived there their whole life, I reckon. The same house, you know, built in the 1950s, just a standard one there that you'd find in Blackburn, Melbourne, I suppose. And you know, they come out and they're like, oh, you know, Tone, how are you? You finally made it in. Oh, jeez, that was terrible. Oh, yeah, no, a few people have that. We're wondering if you'd even make it in. Oh, yeah, anyway, so there's your tractor. And they're like, oh, that's fine. Just there's a creek down the back there with a concrete bridge. Just go on the other side of that. You can chuck a U-turn, come back in, and head out the way that you came. And I went, all right, beautiful. Well, we can do that. So started going across this bridge, and I look at this clearing on the other side. I'm like, yeah, it's sort of fairly sloped, and having a drop deck trailer, you don't have a lot of room for error. And so it chucked a Yui, and I'm looking back over at this bridge, and it was a really tight right-hand turn, so I couldn't actually get out forward to swing around too much. So I was going to be dragging the trailer, and so you know, I had a couple of bites at it to give myself as much as possible. And yeah, as I'm heading back over this little concrete bridge, I quickly worked out there, and I went, my try's not going to get across this thing. It's terrible. And you sort of came into a dip, and I'm on this terrible angle as well with the trailer. And next thing I hear this little jolt, and I, what was that? I'm not too sure. So I get out, have a bit of a look around. Yeah, well, the tyres aren't going to go over the bridge. So I knew that bit, but I wasn't sure what this bloody noise was. And so yeah, grabbed a whole heap of timber and rocks and all sorts of stuff. And although it was probably only about 3 degrees, I was sweating like an absolute bugger. So big boulders, and you know, rolling them into the spot, and timber over the top, and I get back in the truck and just keep doing little 3-point turns to try and just shift the trailer across a little bit. And finally I'm getting over it, and I'd got enough tyre on that I was confident at that point. I was like, all right, we're going to get across here. Yep, beautiful. So go over, we drop the tractor, have a bit of a yarn, and yeah, I was like, you beauty, happy days. So drove out of there, same way through the cliff faces, but obviously, you know, didn't have that bad gut feeling anymore because I knew where I had to go. So we get out of there, you know, it takes another hour to get back to the main road or the highway, and it's actually the road that goes across to Gloucester. Gloucester, is that how you pronounce it? So I was going to end up continuing across there, go over the mountain to head back to Port Macquarie from that point. So by this stage, we're looking at about 9 o'clock at night, and you know, go back down the dirt road, get back to the highway, turn back onto the highway. Oh, happy days, righto. And by this point, the fog had really rolled in then, and then as I started driving off, it dawned on me. I went, oh, that was a cash job, wasn't it? No, you're kidding me. No. No one to call or anything. So, made the executive decision at that point that I drove up the road a little bit, and there was a bit of a dirt pad out the front of someone's farm, and I went, there's no way I'm dragging this bloody trailer back in there. So I dropped the trailer there, and I ended up a bobtail back in. A little bit quicker this time, not having a trailer, but really rough bumpy ride, and get back in there, and you know, everyone's asleep by this point pretty much, and the old bloke comes out. I think it was the old bloke that came out, and like, oh mate, you drove off before I could give you some money. And I went, I know mate, and that's why we're back here. Oh geez, you poor little bugger. And I went, yeah, I know, I said, but you know, at least the job's got to get done here, I suppose. He's like, rightio, well, you have a good night, and yeah, we'll catch you next time. And I said to him, oh, probably not, mate. I think next time they'll probably come in on a tilt tray, I dare say. So I go back out there, and when I go to hook up my trailer, that's when I've hooked up the airlines, and I went, oh no, I've now worked out what that noise was. So as I've sort of gone down into the dip, the trailer's poking down, and the truck's come back up on a really bad angle. The corner of the trailer actually pierced the top of my fuel tank. So I had this nice big, it didn't actually put a hole in it, but it was just this beautiful little triangle with a scrape on it. And yeah, that just really topped it off then. It really bloody did. And I thought, I've got to get going now anyway. That's a weekend problem now. So I hooked up to the trailer, and I'll start heading up the road. Never been down this road before. And start seeing these signs, you know, like steep descent or ascent, and you know, hairpins. And I'm looking up ahead, and there's all of a sudden the road doesn't have any lines on it. Like, it's not wide enough to actually be 2 lanes climbing up this mountain. Got to go up there. You're pretty well 3-point turns just about to get around a few of the hairpins, and you're just hoping that no one's coming the other way, because the fog was that thick. I couldn't see 5 metres in front of me, and I was already by that point thinking I want to go to bed, but running up to the base of the mountain, there's just nowhere to safely pull up. So start winding up, get up to the top, and yeah, get up there. The fog's just as thick. Like, it's that thick that the windscreen wipers are going full bore, like it was just rain, like water. And I'm cruising along at 40k an hour. By this stage, it's, you know, it's well after midnight, probably pushing the 1 o'clock mark, and I was actually sort of expecting to be over the other side of the mountain and back to the Pacific Highway by, you know, 10 o'clock at night. So we're probably about 2 to 3 hours away from that point still, so we lost a lot of time by then. Didn't help that I forgot it was a bloody cash job, but yeah, cruising along, and I'm just peering, just trying to see a nice bit of dirt. But also had in my mind too, there'd been a lot of rain, and I really didn't want to drop any wheels off the road just in case I just sunk straight in, because could not actually see what I was going to drive onto. But so I cruised along, you know, for the next probably 60k until I think probably you hit the Thunderbolts Way. I reckon that could be, I can't remember, but T intersection there, and off to my left, big gravel pad, like a council pad, where, you know, they put all their gravel for roadworks and stuff. And I went, that's me, I'm in here. Yep, rolled off the road, climbed in the bunk, and just went, bugger this, I'm going to bed, and I'm going to give myself a good night's sleep, you know, 9 AM in the morning. So that's pretty well the story anyway, of that little series of events that just seemed to get from bad to worse. But the thing with that too is, I got up the next morning, and when I got some phone reception, there's there's missed calls, there's text messages and everything, and mainly from Mick, my boss, Mick Candorp at MK Trucking, that I gave him a ring back and he's just, where the have you been? I went, oh mate, you wouldn't believe it. I told him the story. He's like, I was so worried. He goes, I was ringing people, texting people, just seeing if they'd seen or heard from you, because I hadn't heard from you. No one heard from you since about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, which is about when I ran out of phone reception. So it was, I mean, that's a pleasing thing to know, that when you do drop off the radar a little bit, you know, people do go out of their way to make sure they're all right. So that is fantastic. So, but yeah, I disappeared there for a while, and for all anyone knew, I could be severely, who knows, but all and all, and yeah, I suppose we got the job done. I had a scrape on the fuel tank that, although I couldn't fix that bit, I could polish a fair bit of it out, and no one got hurt. The people got their tractor. I got the cash, gave it to whoever deserved that, and really deserved a beer at the end of that. So that's the first of Tone's Trucking story. Don't know, we might make that a regular event now. So again, let us know what you think. If you want, yeah, any advice or anything like that, and maybe we'll see you for episode 2. Alright guys, are you happy with that, puppies? You happy with that? Yeah, that's good. Yeah, rightio. We'll see you later.